Nice and Sleazy does it there by the Stranglers. Maybe Pete Hegseth's theme tune. Nice and sleazy with the slick back hair. Well, anyway, never mind. Let's not go down that path. So there's a lot of analysis about what the hell is wrong with Trump as he sort of lurches from one bizarre, inane lie to another over his war in Iran. And of course, this is a part of a long period of strange behaviour that goes back many, many years. And like you, I've been reading all about it and watching whatever it be, The Rest is Politics or Joe Rogan or, you know, many of all the other thousands of people, the news agents who kind of endlessly commentate and try and analyse what this is about. And I thought, is there a way of kind of simplifying it? I'm not saying what my opinion is right or wrong, but coming it from my perspective. Now, I'm not a psychologist, I'm a sociologist, and I'm not sure any sociologist on earth can kind of work this guy out. Psychologically, you know, what's going on here? And I thought, well, is there a singularity, a simple way of expressing the madness of King Trump? And there wasn't. It's a kind of perfect storm, isn't it? Like all of these things. But can we simplify the noise a little bit? He is the sad and loveless boy who has gone from the bully in the playground to head of the city council, head of the municipality. Now, that wouldn't really happen normally, would it? Generally, the school bullies, the gang, they don't remain as the school bully and the gang even when they move into adult life. They're not normally elevated to positions like head of the municipality. So that all of those peers and children who were bullied by these people in the playground are then bullied by the same people in later life. Because the municipality, the city, is their new playground. It's a horror story, that, actually. It's a horror story. But this is what's happened, hasn't it? They now run the city. They used to run the school. The problem is that they haven't emotionally developed at all from when they were the school bully. Trump is still the school bully without any emotional development, because his emotional development has been retarded because he hasn't had to deal with the same kind of things that most people have to deal with, where they have psychological shifts over time. He's had to develop such a sort of egotistical skin to protect himself from that early abuse from his father, that he has not been able to have that skin broken, if you like, or that ego broken, and then for him to reassemble it in a way that forms a kind of emotional development. They were abused, lack of love. He's had to build a narcissistic ego. But that doesn't really explain everything. But maybe that's one of the building blocks of understanding Trump. And I think that, having read some sort of psychological characterizations of him, I think there's an element of truth in what I've just said. I hope there is. But you've got to combine that with what's happening, or what America is about, the story of America. You've got to combine that with a kind of religious fervour, a kind of moralism, but it's a perverted and twisted moralism. It's a religious fervour that's not really based on any religion. It's based on a kind of made-up pseudo-Christian belief system that has been written by themselves to reinforce a story about themselves and to justify everything they do. This is not like your traditional religions. This is one that can be all things to all men, as long as you are a man. The Prosperity Bible, for example, which is very common in the US, the idea that prosperity and success and money and wealth and power are all kind of linked to godliness in some way. It's all very bizarre. A puritanical godliness that means that you are allowed to be disgusted at people that are not successful, that do not have the money, that do not have the power. They are all kind of sinners in some way. They deserve their fate, their destiny. Now you've got to combine, so that's another story. You've got to combine that with the whole story of America, where, it's about success, it's about money, it's about wealth, it's about, what is the American male, how he's portrayed, this kind of idea of him as being obviously kind of alpha, in control, manly, the idea of the sort of metropolitan male is kind of an anathema to them. It's something that disgusts them. I suggest that many of them are disgusted by what they consider to be the perversity of what you like, if you like, the sort of the modern man who is able to balance a number of characteristics instead of just being a iron pumping, chainsaw massacring lion king. It disgusts them. And I suggest that it disgusts them because it frightens them. It frightens them, and I think you know what I'm saying. That they themselves are hiding many of those aspects within them, terrified that they may get released, which is why they need to build more muscle by Monday. Hesketh particularly, coming on in his wife-beater t-shirt and talking about the fun they're going to have, killing Iranians. Think about it. But this is a cultural anomaly. This is America's story. This is not other cultures' story. Success is, many places, not looked upon as being the be-all and the end-all and the only measure of success, the benchmark of godliness. In fact, in many cultures, displays of wealth are awkward. They're laughed at. You're ostracized to some extent, So there's a lot of stories going on. So you've got to combine Trump the bully, who's become head of the municipality, with the story of the American male, the story of America, and the religious fervour, a religion that has been sort of invented to justify a kind of strange morality. Look at Kennedy, that crazy guy, and all of those people in the White House. They're all exactly the same. They're pumping iron, they're eating steak, they're driving a muscle car, and into that stew pot you put billions of dollars of people who can take advantage of that, business and corporate investors. And now what you have is you have that gang of playground bullies in charge of the city with the power. And the fact is that the city have voted for this. The city gave it their vote. And you have to ask, well, why would you do that? Why would you take this gang of people that you avoided like bloody hell at school and put them in charge? That's a big question, isn't it? Without hope, the human has nothing. That's the thing. And like every saviour of mankind who has played his pipe loudly enough, people will follow. Because what is there without hope, really? And you'll try and find it wherever. And if they start playing their pipes loudly enough, you'll follow. Even if you are following them into an abyss. It's only really understanding and learning that can save us. And that's why they're destroying the education system.